Hello there everyone, Ashnflash here, and welcome on into a LEGO Marvel Superheroes video. Today we are going to be discussing the potential of us getting more No Way Home sets. Now I've done a lot of videos talking about what the sets could be, talking about how there's been some rumors and leaks about sets are coming, and then proving that they're not coming. So there's a lot of videos. I'll link all those at the end here if you want to check them out. There's also going to be chapters just discussing some of the topics that we're going to go through in today's video because I've spent hours of research looking into this stuff. Now, I'm not an expert on any of this stuff. I'm sure some of the things that I'll say in this video are probably wrong or misinformed, so I apologize for that. If you have concrete evidence or disproving anything that I say here, please leave it down below. I'd love to know. So before we jump into things, I just want to talk and impart a little bit of wisdom to you because I saw so many ignorant comments and just rude comments towards LEGO when there just shouldn't be, because it's on you for believing rumors. The amount of comments that I saw of LEGO hates money, LEGO's so stupid for not doing these sets, and all these other things, when all I did was a video talking about how a listing disproved someone saying that there was going to be sets and how we shouldn't trust them, it got people to jump to how could they not make these sets, or you promised, like literally someone said, I was expecting these, how could you take this away from me, LEGO? And it's like, everything that we talk about here on the channel when it comes to leaks and rumors should all be taken with a grain of salt. It's your fault for believing them and taking it as concrete information. It is crazy to me, the comments. You can go and look in that video. There are so many there that I'm still getting to this day of people being upset when there's nothing to be upset about. And that's what this video is going to be about, is because I want to show you and tell you when you can expect to see sets for No Way Home, at least the ones that you specifically are wanting more spoiler based sets. So we're going to go over all that in this video. You can check out the chapters down below to hop around to different topics if you want. Looking at LEGO's past, and also just looking at other toy companies and what's happening with No Way Home merch and where the rights kind of fall with that and why it might be a bit of a gray area. So let's go ahead and let's get started. So the very first thing here that we're going to talk about is LEGO and their past with Star Wars specifically, because I think that this is the perfect example that you can compare the spoilers. If you haven't seen the movie yet, I don't know why you're watching this, the spoilers for No Way Home compared to the spoilers from The Mandalorian. So with The Mandalorian, of course, the first episode aired in November of 2019, and they did not send out any concept art, any pictures of anything of the child, Baby Yoda, Grogu, all the names. I'm just going to encompass it all. None of that was sent out to any toy company, so no one had toys ready to go for that Christmas. I believe, just kind of looking up here, looking at the research, I believe some of them had pre-orders for toys and some basic renders, but the toys would not launch until the summer of 2020. So like June, July sort of time. So that's pretty crazy. Looking at other toy companies like Hasbro. Now here's where things I think get really interesting with LEGO, and I think that it's going to give us a good insight into what to expect with No Way Home. So looking at the very first appearance that the child had in LEGO form, it was in set number 75317, The Mandalorian and the Child Brickheads. Now that launched actually in August of 2020. So just to give you a bit of a sense of how long it takes for them to create something like that. Now, it's a brickheads, so it's a lot easier to create versus having to create a new mold for like the baby head, or even such an intricate build for the child, that big set. Now, we're going to look at all this in a second, but let's dive deeper at this because it's fascinating. This set is actually one of two brickheads that are found outside of the brickheads numbering, and that is actually in the Star Wars numbering. Now, the only other time that has happened was actually with the Kylo Ren and Sith Trooper brickheads in 2019. Now, I'm not sure why that is the case, but like Ahsoka this year, she's in the regular brickheads numbering, but what's fascinating, it doesn't matter why it's outside of that. What's interesting is the number itself. It's 317. If you look at the last number in 2020 of the sets that were released, it was set number 75294, the Bespin Duel. And before that, there's other sets that are perfectly in line with those numberings. They skip from 9.4 to 3.17, which if you actually look is at the end pretty much of the Star Wars sets releasing in 2021, besides a retail exclusive with the Armorer's Forge, which also released later in the year. So that is really interesting if you look at that. The fact that it jumped at the end of next year's wave. And of course, the following set number 75318, is the Big Child. Another example here that the spoiler things with the child were pushed at the end, having to jump ahead to sets that were already in production. They had to put that ahead of those that we didn't even know a whole year in advance. Looking at the Razor Crest, you could say that, well, they known to put him in that set. It's a lot easier to put the child into a pre-existing set like the Razor Crest versus having to create a whole set centered around them. The Razor Crest was probably already designed, which is why it's in the middle of like the regular Star Wars numbering, whereas putting the child in that isn't as difficult. Now, what does that mean for No Way Home? Well, we have people saying that this set is No Way Home, set number 76209 specifically, which we now know is a DC set. They're like, that one is going to be the Statue of Liberty. When in actuality, if you're expecting spoiler sets when it comes to really any of the characters, because if you look at any other toy company right now, there are scarce amount of any other merchandise available with those villains and, of course, the other Spider-Man on them. We were quite ignorant in believing that, and I apologize for reporting on that because it makes no sense at all when looking at the child and how that spoiler set isn't in a numbering at all, even close to the ones that came out that year, because we know LEGO designs their sets a whole year in advance. So for us to be saying this one that's coming up in the normal numbering, it's just not possible. It just doesn't make sense, and especially looking at the release dates for these. So if we were to compare, The Mandalorian launched in November of 2019, and those sets with the child only came out the end of the summer of 2020. So that's a huge gap there, almost a whole year later. So looking at No Way Home, with people saying that they're going to be in the sets launching in June and August, that's just not going to be the case, because if you look, that came out a month after, in December of 2021. So we probably will not see those things until potentially November, if any. And again, these set numberings are not going to be any listings that are on any retail sites at all. Don't hold your breath on sets that contain spoilers. So I think you just got to go into it thinking that way. Now, the first trailer for Spider-Man No Way Home released in August, and that was the first time that we saw Doc Ock and, of course, heard the laugh for Green Goblin and everything, but we wouldn't see anyone else until very close to the movie. So, potentially, LEGO might have gotten the ball rolling on a Doc Ock-centric set on the bridge or something like that. You know, we can't really say for sure, because the concept art and everything for the other stuff, if you look around now, we're going to talk about the rest of the merchandising, there is nothing on shelves at all here, except for two hot toys called Cost Baby. I've seen them, I didn't know they were actually separate, but they're these smaller figures, and one of them has Doc Ock there. And then there was also one that they showed off at some sort of, I don't know where they were displaying this, but there's a Green Goblin one as well. But they're only up for pre-order, so they're not out yet. And they seem to be the only toy that I found online that has anything with the actual villains of the movie, because other toy companies did Mysterio, they did Vulture. So I think that's really interesting just looking at that. Now, another thing that a lot of people have told me is that the rights to the older characters might be a lot more complicated than you think, because let me just briefly summarize the history of the merchandise rights for Spider-Man. They sold the rights in 2011 to Marvel. They sold them back to Marvel, and then of course Disney, when they purchased Marvel, or it was in the works or whatever at the time, they acquired all the rights to any Marvel merchandise, with t-shirts and backpacks to video games, as well as the toys, specifically, with LEGO. So what happens there is, When it comes to promoting any movie, it's Disney that has the say on the merchandise and the products that are actually produced. So when it comes to No Way Home, there might be some complications there because who owns the rights to the designs of the characters that were a part of Sony before the rights were acquired by Disney? I don't know. I can't find a single response to that. I would assume that Disney acquires the rights to all that stuff. All I can do is look at the history and when was the last times that we got official products for those movies. And at least for Spider-Man, the original ones with the Raimi trilogy, the last time was in 2011. And it looks like there was like some hot toys released here that were these tall statues. But other than that, I can't see anything for those. For the Amazing Spider-Man, it would have been all the merch around the movie when that released in 2014. But even then, when it came to Lego, of course, you know, we got the polybag as well as the SDCC figure. So I guess Disney signed off on the rights for that, but didn't sign off on the rights to create actual sets. Now, I had a theory, and I'm just looking here at what is available in front of me. I wonder if maybe that is a bit of a gray area, that with those suits and those characters, specifically looking at Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, we may not be able to get them in sets. I don't know. The only things that I've seen for Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield have been t-shirts. There hasn't been any other toys, like I said before, for No Way Home like that. So I don't know. But when it comes to the villains, I think the good news with that is all of their outfits, if you look at them, they're pretty much all different. Like, even going down to Doc Ock, like his jacket, it's just a different color. That trench coat, like the first one was like an olivey, this is a dark green. Even the Lizard's design in the movie was different. Sandman was all sand. Green Goblin had the hood. His whole armor's a lot more cracked and shattered. Of course, Electro looks completely different. So I think the good news there is that at least for them, we could definitely see them in the sets. Now with the other two Spider-Man, I don't know. The designs are the exact same. The suits are the exact same. It even says that on the description on Marvel.com that they swing into the universe in the same suit. And again, I'm not sure where those rights lie. If it is with Sony, however, I do have a little bit of good news with Sony and Lego's relationship, because there has been some recent listings as well as rumors that there are actually going to be some more Sony IPs. Of course, they've worked with them in the past and currently with Ghostbusters and the distribution of those sets. And of course, their whole history with Spider-Man in the past, 20 years ago. But specifically looking at what they're doing now, they currently have in the works that Horizon Zero Dawn set, as well as there was presumably a leak of a James Bond licensed Speed Champion set coming. And of course, LEGO also worked with Sony in developing the PlayStation exclusive Miles Morales and Spider-Man figures. So we know that they're talking. So whether or not they are going to do something 20-year anniversary related to Spider-Man, or if they're going to do No Way Home spoiler sets, that will have to have some sort of workaround with the Spider-Man suits. We'll have to wait and see. It's all in good time. But I just need to course correct a lot of the things that were being said about LEGO, because it was really just ill-informed, some ignorant at some points. And I think that this hopefully just maybe opens your eyes to, hey, this is when I can expect No Way Home sets, and why we shouldn't believe everything that we hear when it comes to LEGO leaks. If you don't believe me, check out this article on the LEGO Uncharted leak that we didn't cover here on the channel, but was something that happened in the last week. So check that out here as well. Hope you guys did enjoy this video. Hope that it was eye-opening, or at least maybe you learned something about the history of Spider-Man and when we can expect these sets. But hope you guys did enjoy the video. Hope you all have a great day. We'll see you all in the next one.